Welcome back, everybody. We're going to try and keep this one much shorter than last week's because, to be honest, I don't even know how many people truthfully made it through last week's tirade. With a week afterwards under my belt to sleep on it further, sleep a lot, and think about it, I basically feel the same way. In fact, I may be angrier about certain things, less angry about others, but overall, the only thing that has changed is my wife and I were talking about this because we really do want to go back to Gen Con. I would have, if it was the choice between going to Galactics this year or going to Gen Con, I would have 100% chosen Gen Con before going to Galactics and discovering the disaster piece that was Galactics. Afterwards, 150%, a million percent, I would have gone to Gen Con. And I would say the same for next year, but we are exploring the idea of potentially going to both, and I'll just take a longer set of PTO from work. If that will work out, I got to try and figure that out. And we also got to figure out, financially, can we swing this? Because it's not going to be a cheap 12 days, 7, whatever it happens to be, like a little over a week, whatever it is. We'll see. I do want to play high-level competitive SWU. But the debacle that was a lot of things, you can check out the other video for. Today, I want to spend a little time and talk about something else, which is kind of segueing from that, which is specifically burnout. I don't remember if I talked about this before. I've done a lot of videos, and a lot of them are card game related and therefore about similar topics. And in this particular case, I'm finding as I'm trying to reorient myself mentally and somewhat physically as I try and recover to doing PQs again as opposed to testing for Worlds, I'm tired. I really am. I was tired probably about a week and a half, 2 weeks before Worlds, and I was done with this format. And I just did not want to, and I was finding that my testing was suffering as a result, where I was not getting, it wasn't just, oh, I'm losing games. It's, I'm not learning from this experience. I'm not enjoying the experience. And it was turning what is a hobby. Nobody's a pro, like real pro in Star Wars. Nobody's quit their job for Star Wars Unlimited and does this full time. I was turning something that was supposed to be fun into a nightmare. And I think part of that was just burning out, like for all the reasons before about the meta and how things are playing, which if you enjoy it, I'm not trying to piss in your Cheerios, like I always say. It's just I don't like it. And I do try to be introspective about it, but I don't fault anybody for saying, no, I just like it. And I don't care to learn necessarily why I like it. I just enjoy it. Or they don't like it. Same thing. Because at the end of the day, it is a hobby. You're supposed to be having fun. And there isn't this expectation that you need to be an expert on how you have fun. I mean, it's, to me, I think it's useful and helpful. So I think what I'm getting at here is my testing was flawed and still continues to be because of the buildup of exhaustion. I'm at the point where it's not that it might, it definitely would be better for me to take a break and just kind of forget about Star Wars for a few weeks or a month and then come back. Partially because I am personally expecting minimum a force throw ban, maybe other stuff, it depends. But again, I don't really understand what their criteria for bans are. But my expectation, the time of this recording, it's Sunday the 3rd, so we'll say the 6th. They should be back in the office. They'll have their first post-Gen Con stream. They can do all this stuff. Then if they say they ban force throw on the 6th, I don't think it would go into effect until the 20th or 2 weeks later, which would give you, I guess, 2 weekends in August to still... 2 weekends in August with the ban in play, whereas you'd have 2 weekends, the immediately following weekend, the 9th and 10th, and then the 16th and 17th of August, where you would still have, say, force throw alive. I think that it would be better for them to do that because you don't want to just tell everybody, hey, we're banning this card and it's effective immediately. You had a deck, fuck you, figure it out by the weekend. Like that's not a healthy way to do it, as much as people would want something to happen immediately. And I think given their other proclivities that that is likely how they would handle it. I think that's what they did with the Django ban. It just so happened that there it was either PQ light or there weren't any going on. I didn't look it up and I don't really remember it, but I kind of remember that from talking to people. So part of me is burnt out because it's like, this seems like it's inevitable. So it's why am I bothering to test a format that's not going to exist in a couple weeks? But I did that for the last PQ season to try and do last chance qualifiers sort of thing. So it's not that much different. And it's really just my own burnout with this particular format. And again, if you like it, that's fine. But in general, to extrapolate this 10,000 foot view sort of thing, the reality is we're all going to enjoy more or less, like different formats more or less than each other. I will enjoy certain formats and you, viewer, may decide that no, you hate that format and vice versa. Or we're both in agreement or it's slight disparities, whatever. And it's important to recognize that obviously it's only going to be a few more months until things change anyway. Or if something's really dramatically wrong, the things will step in. But it's why I always harp on what are the devs' intentions? Like, what is the game that they want to exist? What is their ideal format? And honestly, based on things I've read, snippets here and there, and listened to from their various streams and stuff, I don't think I would like the world that they think is the ideal game. And I think the way that they are arbitrarily constraining certain things, say combo or control or even aggro, like pushing things artificially towards mid-range, I think creates unhealthy environments for a variety of reasons. And we can get into that in another video, but you could say the same if they arbitrarily said, we're going to make, oh, this is a control game or this is an aggro game. And then you force those things to be the prominent archetypes. It does weird things and obviously pushes out other players. What I'm struggling with at this point is just trying to find the motivation to continue testing. I tried to do some testing even earlier today. And the first game, somebody made a mistake and the game fell apart. But after that, I'm like, I don't feel like doing this anymore. I don't want to. And the healthy thing, like I said, would be to step away. Unfortunately, I have PQs coming up. And if I'm going to potentially, just circle back to the beginning, if I'm going to potentially go to Galactics next year, or at least plan on it, I'm going to refuse to play in the open. I'm not going to actively, if I have to play in the open, I'll play in the open, but our last chance qualifier is what I mean, since the Saturday event was called the open, but the last chance qualifier on Friday, I don't want to do that. I want a bye. I don't think there's a snowball's chance in hell that I'll hit top 32 because I'm just straight up not going to attend sectors and regionals. Not because of some boycott or something, but just because I probably can't travel to them. I hate traveling. I'll drive to something if I have to. Obviously, I flew to Galactics. If it's hypothetically an easy travel, which it never is, you can just look at my return trip where I ended up, my flight getting canceled, and then I had like 4 layovers over the course of like 2 days. It was bad. Bottom line is I want to have the bye, so I'm going to force myself to play in a lot of these PQs. I want to get the jump on it early because that way I can kind of hopefully get the full qualification early, or at least like coast through the rest of the season, because it's like, okay, well, I got it over the course of the first set of PQs, and now I can just kind of chill and test and prepare, and just, if I decide to take a few weeks off or a month off or whatever, it's not going to dramatically impact things. And I go, oh man, well, I have to top 8, top 4, whatever this other event, or otherwise I'm going to whiff. So we'll see. There's a lot of ways, and I could go on and on about trying to break down how to not get burnt out, as I have in other videos, but I think the biggest thing is trying to identify what is fun. I know I said earlier, you don't have to do the whole introspection, soul searching thing, but I think it is beneficial so that you can call back to it and go, hey, I am enjoying this. I am not enjoying this. Why? And then you can decide, is it worth continuing? Is it worth taking a break right now? If it's right at the end of a meta, at the end of a set, maybe you just skip a few events and then go to the next. For my scenario, like I said, I want to push for that buy, so I'm kind of trapped, even though it's a year away. It just kind of feels that way. We'll see how it goes. But that's going to do it for this time. Like I said, I wanted to keep it short. We'll be back next week. Maybe there'll be news this week to talk about. We'll see. But as always, everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And tune in next time for more Random Thoughts.